Illinois needs.
Good Day Chicago at 7 starts now.
And right now at 7 o'clock, the late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for a second day at Rainbow Push headquarters.
An attorney representing multiple families believes there are more victims of verbal and physical abuse at a suburban daycare.
And there's movement on the development of a new Bears stadium in both Illinois and Indiana, where the stadium drama will go from here.
And taking a live look outside this morning. Look at that sun shining, guys.
Yes.
Mike says we can expect some spring-like temperatures today, and it's going to be short-lived, huh, Mike?
Yes, over the weekend. But here's the deal.
Okay.
We'll have a one-day warm-up today. It's going to get cold over the weekend, but then warmth comes back next week, and I think it's going to last right into at least mid-March. Most of March is looking pretty good.
All right.
Knock on wood here. All right, out there this morning, we got to talk about the fog. We'll get to that in a little bit of detail here in a second. Planning your day. You need a coat this morning. You might not need one this afternoon with temperatures getting into the 60s. That patchy fog will be clearing by 9. Temperatures most areas upper 30s. Where the fog lasts a little longer, maybe low 30s. But by noon, already in the 50s. Here we are going into the 60s, feeling like spring. Yeah, it's going to be windy. Don't worry about it. 30 at O'Hare. South winds currently at 6. Not a big deal with the wind chill. Feels like 24 degrees. But 31 at Midway, 24 at Chicago Heights, 30 at Woodstock, 26 at Valparaiso. Here's that dense fog advisory. Just another 2 hours left on this thing. Almost all of Chicagoland in on that. And all of this kind of colorized area, pretty much west of I-65. This is where the visibility is under a mile, and a few spots are down there around an eighth of a mile, including at Midway and O'Hare's dropped to 1 mile visibility as well. So let's see if there's any impact on the roads. I know we have rail issues, Gabrielle.
Mike, we have some rail issues I'll get to in a second. On our roadways, really we have no incidents, which is a good thing for this time of morning on a Friday. We had that much earlier crash on the way southwest side. It was northbound I-55 near Route 52. There might still be a little bit of flashing lights in that area as they clean up some debris. Other than that, you could take a look at your drive times all about in the yellow. Let's talk about trains, because most of our train lines pretty much touching each direction here in Chicagoland were stopped due to mechanical issues going on. They have kind of restarted here. There's going to be a lot of delays though. But I have to point out what's happening in Harvey, because all Metro Electric trains are delayed due to a truck that's stuck under the tracks near the intersection at 150th and Halsted. So there's going to be some traffic for cars impacted, also obviously train movement. So trains are moving at extremely restricted speeds in that area until further notice. Make sure you're checking your app, please.
Okay, Gabby, thanks for the update there. The late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for a second day at Rainbow Push headquarters, with doors opening at 10 o'clock this morning for visitation. And yesterday there was a big turnout. People lined the streets for the opportunity to bid farewell to the civil rights icon. And inside, Jackson's family, they greeted guests personally, and those who visited, many of them shared stories about his legacy and his impact.
I wanted to be clear. He raised a generation of us to deal with activism, and he never gave up. Even as he was sick with Parkinson's, he called me and mumbled and said he came with us with George Floyd. He came with other things. So we come, this is a personal trip for me.
We see this as a unique opportunity to lay down some of the political rhetoric and to lay down some of the division that deeply divides our country, and to reflect upon a man who brought people together.
On Monday, Reverend Jackson will lie in honor at the South Carolina State House, and there will be a formal service in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Then next Friday, a week from today, the public homegoing service will be held at House of Hope on East 114th Street, and then a private service will be held at Rainbow Push headquarters the following day.
Talk on a new Bears stadium is likely to go quiet for a few weeks. The final day for Indiana's legislative session is today, and Illinois lawmakers in the State House adjourned yesterday and won't return until March 18th. So here's where things stand. The Indiana Senate passed the stadium bill yesterday, and that was signed into law by Governor Mike Braun. The bill outlines a financial structure for a stadium in Northwest Indiana. Now, the Bears have looked at the Wolf Lake site in Hammond. We've told you about that, but an exact site has not technically been picked yet. And in Illinois, the House and Revenue Finance Committee approved the mega project bill. It would allow the Bears to negotiate property tax breaks.
The board that has to approve this agreement has to have members of every taxing district on it, right? School district, Park District, et cetera. And they will be represented in a weighted vote based on what their total piece of the tax pie in the area is, right? And so we're empowering these folks to be a part of these decisions, to help craft what it looks like, because we know that one size does not fit all. What happens, what's good for my district may not be good for your district. And so we've given people the local control to help figure that out.
The bill still needs full approval by the House and Senate before it goes to Governor Pritzker.
Chicago Public Schools will be transitioning kids out of one of its charter school networks in the very short term here. CPS told Aspira school leaders that high school students will be moved to other CPS schools for the remainder of the school year. And this affects about 500 students. Now, this doesn't mean that Aspira's charter is going away, but CPS is moving students in abundance of caution. They're calling it part of an emergency process because the charter network has not shown that it is financially stable right now. Aspira argues that CPS has underfunded them for years and has asked for more time to fundraise and get help here. And the Chicago teachers members, many of them are protesting CPS's decision here.
Now we're calling on CPS to put together a comprehensive plan that helps protect students and staff if these schools close.
So CPS should take responsibility for protecting our school community from the chaos that they allowed. But instead of listening to us, the people who learn and teach in these schools every day, CPS is used to listening to only the bosses.
The Chicago Teachers Union wants CPS and Aspira to have a plan for their teachers and, most importantly, the students and the parents who would be affected.
We're hearing from the attorney representing some of the families whose children were allegedly victimized at a suburban daycare. The alleged incidents took place between November 5th and 18th at a Mother's Touch Learning Academy in Des Plaines. 36-year-old Jessica Mario and 23-year-old Isabella Thompson are facing multiple charges. Police say there are multiple incidents on video with at least 10 victims that involved either physical or verbal abuse.
This has been extremely difficult on the family and the children. There's many children involved, and this was not an isolated incident. This is something that the families have come to learn has been ongoing for months and possibly even years. It's my understanding that there is videotape of this going back months and months of where these children were abused and maltreated by these individuals. And now, because of their failure to properly supervise, their failure to keep these children safe, and their failure to ensure the well-being of these children while they were at their daycare, now these children are suffering from long-lasting and lifelong impacts.
A Mother's Touch Learning Academy released the following statement, saying in part, "The safety and well-being of the children in our care is always our top priority. We take this matter very seriously." They went on to say that those staff members were removed and authorities were notified.
The firm that manages security at Chicago harbors is being sued by the estate of a beloved boat captain. 63-year-old Nabil Abzal was found dead in DuSable Harbor in August. He was nicknamed Captain Bill, and surveillance video showed that he had an encounter with trespassers. He was hit and he fell into the water, and for days no one knew what happened to him.
Anytime you saw him, he would help you out. I'd be putting up my sails. He'd give me a hand. He was just the nicest guy.
A suspect in the case, Alexis Trader, has been charged with murder, and there has been no comment thus far from either the Chicago Park District or the security firm Westrec about that lawsuit.
Tommy Schaefer, the former boyfriend of Heather Mack, is pleading not guilty in connection to the 2014 murder in Bali. He was in a Chicago courtroom yesterday. He was released from prison in Indonesia after serving a sentence for murdering the mother of Heather Mack. The case here involves charges of conspiracy to commit the murder. Prosecutors say Schaefer and Mack killed Chicago socialite Sheila Von Wise Mack to gain access to a $1.5 million trust fund. Heather Mack is now serving a 26-year prison sentence in Chicago.
Several federal agencies will miss their paychecks today. Employees at TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, and Secret Service will miss their first paycheck since negotiations on Capitol Hill remain stalled today. Democrats and Republicans are growing further apart on this issue over funding Homeland Security.
I think what we're asking for is very reasonable. We want the law to be enforced. We want ICE agents and DHS agents to follow the same laws that law enforcement agents follow.
They want to make this all about ICE, but it's so much more than that. It is. It's FEMA, it's TSA, it's the Coast Guard.
Some DHS employees will only miss half their paychecks this week. Now, if this funding fight drags on, many would miss a full paycheck for the month of March.
7:10, taking a live look outside. Time for another check of your forecast with Mike Kaplan. Man, that sun really reflecting off the water there.
It is, and most of Chicagoland seeing sun, but some of us are dealing with a little bit of fog out there. But the fog is fairly thin. It's going to go away here easily in the next 2 hours, probably less. The view over the city, even though there's a dense fog advisory right there's no dense fog right over downtown. A couple little tendrils of fog working their way through some of the high rises. The dense fog advisory, let's take a look at that. This came out a little over an hour ago. Covers a big portion of Chicagoland, including most of Cook County, DuPage, Will, Kankakee, west into the Fox Valley, Kane, Kendall, Grundy, and even DeKalb and LaSalle County under that dense fog advisory. It expires at 9 o'clock. This time of year, fog doesn't tend to last very long, but what that fog will do is maybe slow the warm up by a couple of hours for you in those areas, but it will not be held back. We've got 28 at Joliet in that thicker fog, 28 at Gary, 28 at Michigan City. Looks like a popular number. Hey, Aurora, you're out of the teens there at the airport. It is 23. Today, I think we can get into low to mid 60s area-wide. Only exception in Michiana, but the majority of Chicagoland going well into the 60s today, and you will see plenty of sunshine as well. Over the weekend, the chance of snow is not zero, but the chance of a significant snowstorm is zero in Chicagoland. I'll try and explain that in a little more detail coming right up.
Thank you, Mike. Former President Bill Clinton will be deposed today in the Jeffrey Epstein probe. I'm talking with an attorney about what could come out of these depositions when we come back.
On Fox Local.
Welcome back. The late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for a second day at Rainbow Push headquarters.
Today, doors will open at 10 for the visitation. On Monday, Reverend Jackson will lie in honor at the South Carolina State House, and there will be a formal service in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday before returning to Chicago late next week for additional services.
Several federal agencies are going to be missing their paychecks today. Democrats and Republicans are at odds over funding the Department of Homeland Security. So employees at TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, and Secret Service will all miss their first paycheck since negotiations stalled on Capitol Hill.
Lawmakers in both Illinois and Indiana are moving along with legislation connected to the Bear Stadium plans. In Illinois, a House committee approved the mega project bill. It still needs approval in the House and Senate before going to Governor Pritzker. But in Indiana, Governor Mike Braun signed a bill into law that establishes a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. 7:15, former President Bill Clinton is set to be deposed today in the Jeffrey Epstein probe. Joining me is Ron Safer with Riley Safer Homes and Cancilla. Good morning, Ron. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My pleasure.
I guess my first question, Bill Clinton is the first former president being compelled to testify against his will. What does this really mean for the case?
Well, it's a significant development. There's no question. Bill Clinton, as opposed to Hillary Clinton, has clear contacts with Jeffrey Epstein, and I think it is legitimate for the committee to want to know what those connections were, what his involvement was.
Yesterday we heard that Hillary Clinton testified and that she didn't know Epstein, and she describes the deposition as kind of political theater. Is there anything that could come out of her testimony still that would impact this case?
Not really. I do think that, unfortunately, her being subpoenaed clearly is a political move, and that taints what the committee is doing. And in my view, it's something that somebody who's trying to seek the truth, and certainly in law enforcement, you would try to avoid.
All right, so polls, they're showing that many Americans are not really happy with the handling of the Epstein files. What do you think, Ron, needs to happen to prosecute more people here in the U.S.?
Well, first of all of the information has to come out. The information has sort of been eked out, and there are a lot of redactions. Information has to come out. There have to be prosecutors who are assigned to this, not just congressional staff. There is, of course, an obvious problem with the statutes of limitations. That is, after a number of years, you can only prosecute a crime within a number of years, within the statute of limitations. Now, many states have statutes that are extended for crimes against children, sexual crimes against children. And so in those states, people are eligible to be prosecuted, but nobody's been prosecuted yet.
Okay, our next question. Do you think investigations in other countries would have any bearing on U.S. citizens named in the files?
It certainly makes it ups the ante. It shows that in other countries, they can do this. They can put two and two together. They can prosecute people who are involved in a child sex ring. But in our country, we're not able to do that. Why?
Good point. We're also talking about how this is behind closed doors with regarding the Clintons, and it's not, open to the public. Is there reasoning? Can you kind of, comment on that? Why we're not just seeing in public in the first place? We're having to wait for these, videos to be released in order for the American public to be, updated on what's happening.
Well, it is this hybrid criminal investigation, congressional investigation that's really an issue here. Of course, a criminal grand jury that is investigating crimes does so in secret, and that is to protect the identities of the people who might be under investigation, but against whom charges are not brought. That's not present in a congressional investigation. In a congressional investigation, everything is public. So why they are doing it in this kind of a sequence of doing it privately, then releasing it publicly is unclear because eventually everything's going to be public.
All right, Attorney Ron Safer with Riley Safer Homes in Kinsella. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Have a great weekend. All right, 7:19. Mike Kaplan is standing by with a look at our forecast. Look at that.
That's beautiful. No snow on the ground. You're going to see a lot of sunshine today, but we're still dealing with that fog issue over a big portion of Chicagoland. This started out really confined to areas way southwest of the city, but if you're watching early this morning, I said this stuff is creeping northeast, and it's done so. Look at the visibility at O'Hare. Not that long ago, it was 9-10 miles, dropped to a quarter mile. It's even lower at Midway, so if you're flying, give a little call there to the airline because there may be some delays. But this is not going to last. This time of year, that sun angles tend to really do a number on the fog in a hurry. We're going to pick up the wind. So the dense fog advisory, which does include pretty much all of Chicagoland, except far north and northwest Indiana, this will be in effect until 9 o'clock. About another hour and a half, the fog is going away. What you'll have left for the rest of the day is good stuff. 64 for the high. Southwest winds at a pretty good clip, 15 to 30, but mostly sunny, windy, and unseasonably mild ahead of a colder weekend. But temperatures are going to be bouncing back here next week quite nicely. Look at the 7-day here. In terms of snowfall, I'm just unimpressed this weekend. Maybe a little bit near the Cheddar Curtain tomorrow. Not much. We'll have a high 40 degrees. Sunday's chance of snow is south, mainly south of I-80, and even there, I'm not impressed. I think most of us are going to get a nothing burger in terms of snowfall production. 38 on Monday, and then we start the next warming trend well into the 40s by Wednesday, 50s plus on Thursday. A couple chances for rain, actually, Tuesday, and again on Thursday. Anthony and Gabriella, What are we looking at on the roads out there, Anthony?
Yeah, roads looking decent for 721 on a Friday, but there's some problems on the rails we'll talk about in just a moment. First, your drive times here on the Kennedy, 36 minutes inbound from O'Hare to downtown. On the Eisenhower, 39 minutes from Route 390 to the post office. 36 minutes is your drive time on the Stevenson inbound from I-355 to Lakeshore Drive. And on the Dan Ryan, you're still at under a half hour to get from 95th to downtown. Now, there has been an accident. It was at the corner of Halsted and 150th Street. Around 6:30, a vehicle hit the Metra overpass just south of that intersection. So at this point, Metra electric trains are halted in that area. So train 706, that was scheduled to depart University Park at 6:55. That's not operating. And so be sure to check that app if you take Metra Electrics and be prepared for some delays yet. Okay, 722. Could Illinois soon have an official state sandwich? One state lawmaker is making a push for that.
The news you've been waiting for.
Yes, very important.
Dr. Tom.
I am Neil Cote, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. The Pima County Sheriff's Department says it will limit public updates going forward here in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. The FBI also says it has moved some of its Guthrie operations back up to its Phoenix office. Authorities plan to return the Tucson home to the Guthrie family after doing a final sweep of the property. They say parking bans and no trespassing orders will remain in place. Meantime, new video has surfaced in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The footage was captured on a ring cam at a home nearby, and it shows 12 cars passing between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. on the morning of February 1st. That's the day that Guthrie disappeared. And some of the activity happened around 2:30 a.m., which was roughly the same time that authorities say the 84-year-old's pacemaker device last synced up with her phone.
The bidding war for Warner Brothers Studios seems to be over. Paramount is in a prime position to take over the company after Netflix walked away from the deal. Negotiations over the past couple months have shifted in Paramount's favor with a winning bid of more than $100 billion. A merger would combine major assets, including CNN and CBS, and could reshape the media landscape, although antitrust reviews are expected.
There will be a new effort to make the Italian beef the official sandwich of Illinois. Today, State Rep Rick Ryan will announce that he's filing a bill to make this possible. He says the Italian beef sandwich has long been a staple of Illinois meals. He'll be talking later this morning at Pop's Beef on South Kedzie. I don't think I've tried
big
Pop's.
bite.
I haven't had it.
Pops?
Mr. Beef I've had.
I've had Pops.
Sure.
Al's I've had.
Al's,
Portillo's I've had, but not Pop's.
We could do a little trip, Anthony.
Little field trip?
Is there like a lobby against the Italian beef? Is it like,
We'll see, a little pushback.
This could be a slam dunk.
That's
I think.
true. I guess we need more information, huh?
Yeah, and then one of our directors, Nick, confirmed that a hot dog is a sandwich. That could be.
Yeah, so this is not without controversy.
It's not without controversy. We have a beautiful day on the way once we get rid of this fog, which is plaguing parts of Chicagoland. It's a little bit there along the lakefront, but boy, blue skies abound. Temperatures headed for the 60s. Then it gets cold this weekend. I've got the full forecast coming up.
When your home feels clean. grandviewhomes.com today.
Welcome back. Time now 7:31. Will the Bears call Indiana or Illinois their future home? We will break down the very latest developments in the battle going on now between both states.
And we'll tell you why some charter school students in Chicago will be finishing out the year at different schools.
But first, family, friends, strangers, all remembering the legacy of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jackson is lying in repose right now for the second straight day down at Rainbow Push headquarters.
And our Brian Jackson is live out there now. Brian, Say gave us a lowdown of what things looked like yesterday. What's it looking like out there right now at 7:30?
Well, you guys, we are live here on the south side outside of the Rainbow Push headquarters. We're for the second day. All of Chicagoans will get to pay some of their final respects to one of the greatest civil rights icons of our entire generation. Of course, we're speaking of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yesterday, a processional brought his casket here to the site. This is more than just a viewing. For many people here, this is what they would call personal. Jackson wasn't just a national figure. He was a Chicago institution. The line to pay respects for the late Reverend stretched for blocks yesterday, and we're expecting the same a little bit later on today. At 84 years old, Jackson leaves behind a legacy that spans more than 5 decades of activism. But here in Chicago, people remember him not just for the speeches or the campaigns. They remember his presence, the neighborhood visits, the organizing, the push for jobs and fairness. For many here, this isn't just history, it is a lived experience.
And I'm here to celebrate, and I'm a little sad, of course, but I still want to celebrate his life because he did so many wonderful things for us. And I want to show a little bit of history to my grandchildren and great-grandchildren to let them know that I'm showing my respect for a great man that did so much for us. He made sure the first black president made it to where he was. He was instrumental in him getting there. And so I'm so proud of that, so proud of that. And
she is not the only one proud. All of Chicago is proud of the late Reverend. Doors here will open later this morning at 10 a.m. Still pretty quiet so far. I do see one person waiting in line. I'm sure this line along Drexel Avenue will be packed as this morning continues. Reporting live on the south side, Brian Jackson from Fox Chicago.
My goodness,
Gabriella?
it is pretty special to see all those people lined up. Thank you so much, Brian, for that report. 7:33, Mike Kaplan standing by. Mike, here's a look at Lake in Michigan right outside our studios here. Looks like people have some lighter jackets on, no?
Well, yeah, maybe if you're going to wear a heavier coat, the next couple of hours would be the time for that. But later this afternoon, I'll be wearing shorts, Gabby. No one wants to see that.
Oh, I love those jean shorts. Those really short ones.
The jorts? The jorts, yeah.
Oh, those are nice.
Nobody wants to see that. We have some weather, though, that may be conducive for a little ice skating. And then after this weekend, the opportunities for bona fide cold weather are looking fewer and fewer. Here comes March. We have 2 more days left of February. Hence, meteorological spring will start on Sunday. And we have some spring-like warmth today. Snow chances, they are lower this weekend, but not zero. And after a few days of cold, temperatures are going to rebound quite nicely next week. 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s by next weekend. Right now, we saw Brian. You can see his breath there. It's cold. We got 30 at O'Hare, 31 at Midway, some 20s out there, including 28 at Woodstock, 26 in Valparaiso. And that dense fog advisory, not much left of this thing. There's still some fog out there, but this is going to expire in about 90 minutes. It covers a big portion of Chicagoland. I'm noticing already visibility is improving, where about an hour ago they were really low. Some of the lowest visibility at Midway and O'Hare, 1/8 of a mile, might be causing a few delays. So if you have flight plans, either maybe somebody coming in from out of town or you're going out, call ahead. Might be a couple of delays out there. Shouldn't last long. 64 today with sunshine and a gusty wind. A small chance, especially far north tomorrow, of a brief snow shower. Accumulations, forget about it. Sunday, small chance of a snow shower or some light snow, mainly south of I-80. A big accumulation? No. 38 on Monday, and here comes a milder air. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. In fact, I think by Thursday we'll be well into the 50s. Chance for some rain Tuesday and again on Thursday. How about 3 pretty pictures? Paula Gauger. She was along the Fox River in St. Charles, and she gives us a beautiful silhouette there amid just a couple of stratocumulus clouds that broke up over the river. Pretty shot there, Paula. Thanks for that photo. Next up from Jim Osterreicher, our old friend from Lake Zurich. He moved to Florida, and he got a very, very nice sunrise there the other day and sent that in over the Treasure Coast. I got to tell you, Jim, that doesn't look that different from the pictures that you used to get over your old home there in Lake Zurich. Pretty sky, though. Wow, that's neat. And our third photo from Ed Broche. Things to come in Madeira Beach. That's out there, I think, by the Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater area. And he's looking at a beautiful sunset there, I believe. Or I guess that could be a sunrise, depending on what direction that particular beach. It might be like a little area, a little spit of land where you can see to the east. In any event, that's pretty. Maybe not so pretty on a couple of our expressways, but not as bad as it could be. We will be back with more of Good Day Chicago right after this.
Welcome back. Indiana Governor Mike Braun has signed a bill designed to lure the Chicago Bears across the state lines as negotiations really heat up here. In a statement, he says, in part, we made it clear from the beginning that Indiana is open for business. I am thrilled to sign Senate Bill 2 to create the framework to build a new world-class stadium in Northwest Indiana. Illinois, though, still trying to hold on to the Bears. Lawmakers in Springfield inched toward a deal yesterday, passing a bill out of committee that gives the team the authority to negotiate property tax breaks for a stadium in Arlington Heights. State Rep Cam Buckner's district includes Soldier Field and has supported this bill.
The board that has to approve this agreement has to have members of every taxing district on it, right? School district, Park District, et cetera. And they will be represented in a weighted vote based on what their total piece of the tax pie in the area is, right? And so we're empowering these folks to be a part of these decisions, to help craft what it looks like, because we know that one size does not fit all. What happens, what's good for my district may not be good for your district. And so we've given people the local control to help figure that out.
The bill still needs full approval by the House and the Senate before Governor J.B. Pritzker can sign it. And the bearers, in a statement, says the team appreciates the advancement of the mega project legislation and looks forward to continued engagement as lawmakers determine a path forward.
New this morning, Crown Point, Indiana police want you to be on the lookout for this silver Buick Encore. They believe it was involved in a road rage that led to a hit and run. So it happened around 3:15 p.m. Thursday on Joliet Street. It was blocks away from Colonel John Wheeler Middle School. Officers say two drivers were arguing when they pulled into a parking lot, but one of the men got out. The other one hit him and sped away. Police are asking people in the area to see if their Ring cameras caught that moment. Also new this morning, a man is now charged in a deadly shooting outside of Jewel Osco on Chicago's South Side. It happened around 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday at the store on South Ashland Avenue and West 94th. 26-year-old Bobby Martin is charged with first-degree murder. He's expected in court later today. Police say he and the victim knew each other, and that person has not yet been identified.
All right, here's a quick look at what is coming up for us here on Good Day Chicago during our 8 and 9 o'clock hours. Keep it right here. Hope you're having a great Friday morning.
The time is now 7:45. Thanks for joining us this morning. Here's some of the top stories we're following.
Yeah, first up, the late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for a second day at Rainbow Push headquarters, with doors opening at 10 a.m. for visitation. And on Monday, that is when Reverend Jackson will lie in honor at the South Carolina State House. There will be a formal service following that in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday.
Former President Bill Clinton is set to testify today in the House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton faced lawmakers on Thursday. During a closed-door deposition, she insisted she has no information regarding Epstein's criminal activities. Some Democrats are now calling on President Trump to testify.
CPS says it is moving students out of the Aspira Charter School Network into other district schools for the rest of the year. The move affects around 500 high schoolers. CPS says Aspira does not have the money to make it through the school year. Aspira argues that CPS is the one who has underfunded it for years. Other news, families of children allegedly abused at a Des Plaines daycare say that the case may go beyond what authorities have initially revealed. Police say at least 10 children have been physically or verbally abused at a Mother's Touch Learning Academy between November 5th and 18th. 36-year-old Jessica Murillo and 23-year-old Isabella Thompson are now facing multiple charges. The attorneys representing the families say that evidence suggests abuse at the daycare may have been going on for months or even years.
It's my understanding that there is videotape of this going back months and months of where these children were abused and maltreated by these individuals. And now, because of their failure to properly supervise, their failure to keep these children safe, and their failure to ensure the well-being of these children while they were at their daycare, now these children are suffering from long-lasting and lifelong impacts.
The daycare released a statement saying that the workers were removed immediately and are no longer employed. It also notified DCFS and is cooperating with other state officials.
The family of a beloved local boat captain is filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the firm that manages security at Chicago harbors. The body of 63-year-old Nabil Abzal was found in DuSable Harbor in August. He was widely known as his nickname, Captain Bill. Prosecutors say a man who was trespassing punched Abzal in the face, who then fell into the water and drowned.
Anytime you saw him, he would help you out. I'd be putting up my sails. He'd give me a hand. He was just the nicest guy.
Alexis Trader has been charged with murder. Neither the Chicago Park District or West Rack, who is a security company, have commented on the lawsuit. A botulism outbreak connected to ByHeart baby formula is over. The CDC says there have been no new cases reported since mid-December. 48 babies were hospitalized since 2023. There were no deaths. The botulism outbreak prompted a nationwide recall, though. Investigators are still working to figure out which ingredient made kids sick.
All right, 7:49. Here's a quick look at our drive times as we head to break. If someone could hit that button. We'll get to those, I promise. There they are. A couple of expressways in the red, so be safe out there. We'll be right back.
7:52. Welcome back on your Friday. We're taking a live look outside from our 2800 camera. This is looking from the north side of the city to the city. Looks like it's nice and sunny out there. It's going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully you can enjoy it. We'll get a look at your weather here very soon. A new story this morning for Chicago public school families. The next 2 school years will give students longer summer breaks. The Chicago Board of Education approved the calendars on Thursday. The schedule expands summer break after last year was cut by 67 days because of the Democratic National Convention. This year, they'll get 81 days. The school year starts August 24th and runs through June 11th. It begins August 23rd and ends on June 9th the following year.
Meantime, CPS says it is moving students out of the Aspira Charter School network into some other district schools for the remainder of the year. The move affects around 500 high schoolers, and this does not mean that Aspira's charter is going away, but CPS says Aspira does not have the money to make it through the school year. Aspira argues that CPS has underfunded it for years, and unionized teachers are calling on the district to give Aspira time to raise more money.
Now we're calling on CPS to put together a comprehensive plan that helps protect students and staff if these schools close.
So CPS should take responsibility for protecting our school community from the chaos that they allowed. But instead of listening to us, the people who learn and teach in these schools every day, CPS is used to listening to only the bosses.
The teachers union says CPS and Aspira need to have a plan in place for teachers and, most importantly, the students and parents affected by these changes. A $1.3 billion 16-mile reconstruction project is about to kick off in Will County. This is on I-80.
Years long, too.
Yeah.
More than 30 bridges are being refurbished and replaced over Hickory Creek and the Des Plaines River in Joliet. IDOT says drivers should expect some lane shifts, reduced lanes, and some delays between Ridge Road and US 30. But it says it is not expecting a huge impact on daily commute times.
Part of this corridor, we've maintained 2 lanes in each direction, and we've done a lot to try to manage the traffic, manage the flow, and make sure that everybody can get where they need to go.
80% of the I-80 corridor is on new pavement. The project is slated for completion in 2028. Nearly 100,000 drivers take I-80 in Will County every day.
All right, when you pay your utility bills, do you know where your money is actually going? Well, consumer groups say you're actually paying for everything from your utilities trade association memberships to advertising, and they hope a new bill moving through Springfield will change that. It's called the Utility Transparency Act. CUB, the Citizens Utility Board, says if it passes, it could save people in Illinois up to $40 million per year in hidden expenses.
We pay for all these fees, but it's not like there's line items for them on our bill. They're all buried within our customer charge and delivery charges. So we're just trying to shine a light on what's going on here so that when the utilities have these rate cases, they can't go to the Illinois Commerce Commission and say, well, state law says we can recover these costs. Just because we've done something a certain way for a number of years doesn't mean that's the way it ought to continue to be done.
So this measure would shift these hidden costs to company shareholders. Similar legislation has already passed in Connecticut, Colorado, and Maine. All right, 7:55, our 8 o'clock hour of Good Day Chicago is up next, so keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Football HQ.
Today, employees at the TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, and Secret Service will miss their first paycheck since the government shutdown began. Negotiations on Capitol Hill remain stalled, with Democrats and Republicans seemingly growing further apart on funding Homeland Security.
I think what we're asking for is very reasonable. We want the law to be enforced. We want ICE agents and DHS agents to follow the same laws that law enforcement agents follow.
They want to make this all about ICE, but it's so much more than that. It is. It's FEMA, it's TSA, it's the Coast Guard.
Some DHS employees